Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. This video is about Ezekiel 34 and Ezekiel 35. Some key verses are verse 4, verse 12, and verse 16. Let's get into it. The Lord will be Israel's shepherd. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Woe to you, shepherds of Israel, who only take care of yourselves. Should not shepherds take care of the flock? You eat the curds, clothe yourselves with the wool, and slaughter the choice animals, but you do not care for the flock. You have not strengthened the weak or healed the sick or bound up the injured. You have not brought back the strays or searched for the lost. You have ruled them harshly and brutally, so they were scattered because there was no shepherd. And when they were scattered, they became food for the wild animals. My sheep wandered all over the mountains, and on every high hill they were scattered over the whole earth, and no one searched or looked for them. Therefore, you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. As surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, because my flock lacks a shepherd, and so has been plundered, and has become food for all the wild animals, and because my shepherds did not search for my flock, but cared for themselves rather than for my flock, therefore you shepherds, hear the word of the Lord. This is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against the shepherds, and will hold them accountable for my flock. I will remove them from tending the flock, so that the shepherds can no longer feed themselves. I will rescue my flock from their mouths, and it will no longer be food for them. Okay, so it's kind of cold out here, being fumed, so I'm going to go through this pretty quickly here. Going back to verse 4, it says, you have ruled them harshly and brutally. The word harshly is a play on words for har, a word for horse. The second part is sh, and the second part is lie. So they're basically saying that it is harsh for them to lie about the divine order and who the Son of God is and what characteristics he has, what have you. And brutally is a play on words for brute and ally. For this is what the sovereign Lord says. I myself will search for my sheep and look for them. As a shepherd looks after his scattered flock when he is with them, so will I look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they are scattered on a day of clouds and darkness. Right? So it alludes to the end, Revelation, when people are gathered up into the clouds and they leave the world. Those people who are righteous, and the wicked stay here, and for the most part they keep reproducing, what have you. I'll bring them out from the nations and gather them from the countries, and I'll bring them into their own land. I'll pasture them on the mountains of Israel, in the ravines, and in all the settlements in the land. I will tend them in a good pasture, and the mountain heights of Israel will be their grazing land. There they will lie down in good grazing land, and they will feed in a rich pasture on the mountains of Israel, referring to the spiritual realm, right? The pasture is a symbol of righteousness, is well-being, what have you. I myself will tend my sheep and have them lie down, declares the sovereign Lord. I will search for the lost and bring back the strays. I will bind up the injured and strengthen the weak, but the sleek and strong I will destroy. I will shepherd the flock with justice. Right? So notice it says he will shepherd the flock with justice. And Horus is said to be a deity of justice in Egypt. So the true form of Horus, in terms of the actual Son of God, is also the true form of Jesus, right? The shepherd, the good shepherd that shepherds with justice. Again, verse 16 makes it clear that God shepherds with justice. This is key here. It's also how you know that the righteous are taken away from the earth. Faith without works is dead. Anyone who wishes to be right with God must obey God through me, and must live a life of obeying God through me, which is how I live my life. I obey God, and it's with my judgment. As for you, my flock, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will judge between one sheep and another, and between rams and goats. And those seeking to cheat me out of my right to lead, trying to use technology, they're goats who are being separated from the sheep, and they're being cut off from God. And the harder they try, the more they try to steal my credit, the more disgraced they are. The more they try to say that they're the way and magically I'm not, the more disgraced they are. Is it not enough for you to feed on the good pasture? Must you also trample the rest of your pasture with your feet? Is it not enough for you to drink clear water? Must you also muddy the rest with your feet? Must my flock feed on what you have trampled and drink what you have muddied with your feet? Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I myself will judge between the fat sheep and the lean sheep. because you shove with flank and shoulder, butting all the weak sheep with your horns until you have driven them away. I will save my flock, and they will no longer be plundered. I will judge between one sheep and another. I will place over them one shepherd, my servant David, and he will tend them and be their shepherd, right? The root and offspring of David, the bright morning star, right? This warrior idea that the idea of David is superimposed on. The code right there being David. The Lord will be their God, and my servant David will be prince among them. I, the Lord, have spoken. I will make a covenant of peace with them and rid the land of savage beasts, so that they will live in the wilderness and sleep in the forests in safety. I will make them and the places surrounding my hill a blessing, or I cause them and the places surrounding my hill to be named in blessings. Or I will cause them and the places surrounding my hill to be seen as blessed. I will send down showers in season. There will be showers of blessing. So these are the alternate translations there. The trees will yield their fruit, and the ground will yield its crops. The people will be secure in their own land. They will know that I am the Lord, when I break the bars of their yoke and rescue them from the hands of those who have enslaved them, right? So you got these rich people, the managerial class, the governments, their militaries, their police, okay, the churches, right? The mosques, the synagogues, all these groups work together to enslave them with psychology and coercion and the economy and so on and so forth. And of course, their spirit of oppression that people who accept being ruled by them come into. They will no longer be plundered by the nations, nor will wild animals devour them. They will live in safety, and no one will make them afraid. I'll provide for them a land renowned for its crops, and they will no longer be victims of famine in the land or bear the scorn of the nations. Then they will know that I, the Lord their God, am with them, and that they, the Israelites, are my people, declares the sovereign Lord. You are my sheep, the sheep of my pasture, and I am your God, declares the sovereign Lord. Now again, if you look at Isaiah 10, it makes it clear that only a remnant is going to be saved. Galatians 3:28 makes it clear there's no Jew or Gentile. Proverbs 17:2 makes it clear that a prudent servant will rule over a disgraceful son and share the inheritance of one of the family. The New Testament, right? Those who obey the commands of God are the family of God. And we see in, I believe it's Numbers 10, that Aaron and Miriam are rebuked by God, and Miriam is made sick by God, given leprosy for disapproving of Moses' Cushite wife because she wasn't a Jew. So we see that God rules on my behalf and not on behalf of the cult of the flesh again and again in the Bible. And that people don't get that, they just don't know what they're talking about. And we see some of our white supremacists, Jewish supremacists, black Hebrew Israelites. I've come across some of those guys who don't get it, and so on and so forth. Ezekiel 35, a prophecy against Edom. The word of the Lord came to me. Son of man, set your face against Mount Seir, prophesy against it, and say, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I am against you, Mount Seir, and I will stretch out my hand against you and make you a desolate waste. I will turn your towns into ruins, and you will be desolate. Then you will know that I am the Lord, because you harbored an ancient hostility and delivered the Israelites over to the sword at the time of their calamity, the time their punishment reached its climax. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will give you over to bloodshed, and it will pursue you. Since you did not hate bloodshed, bloodshed will pursue you. I will make Mount Seir a desolate waste, and cut off from it all who come and go. I will fill your mountains with the slain. Those killed by the sword will fall on your hills and in your valleys and in your ravines. I will make you desolate forever. Your towns will not be inhabited. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So the hills and the mountains are these kind of elevated places, right? The reason why a king often sits on an elevated position, and they're associated with the deities that are worshipped there by the respective people. You know, the people and the respective deities. And so it's symbolic of them failing to choose God Almighty, and them coming into a spirit of wanting to punish people who in this story have kind of gathered together to try to worship God. Okay, so they're not chosen because of their flesh, they're chosen because of their attempt to worship God. Like Moses' Cushite wife became yoked to the spirit of trying to serve God in the divine order God selected, which was not exclusively for the Jews, it was for the idea of somebody who has earned the right to come into the spirit of the king and to be the successor, something that cannot be done after my flesh dies. It will just be with God and I in the spiritual realm. The inhabitants of the earth will be cut off. I will make you desolate forever. Your towns will not be inhabited. Then you will know that I am the Lord, because you have said, those 2 nations and countries will be ours, and we will take possession of them, even though I, the Lord, was there. Therefore, as surely as I live, declares the sovereign Lord, I will treat you in accordance with the anger and jealousy you showed in your hatred of them, and I will make myself known among them when I judge you. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have heard all the contemptible things you have said against the mountains of Israel. You said that they have been laid waste and have been given over to us to devour. You boasted against me and spoke against me without restraint, and I heard it. This is what the sovereign Lord says. While the whole earth rejoices, I will make you desolate, because you rejoiced when the inheritance of Israel became desolate. That is how I will treat you. You will be desolate, Mount Seir, you and all of Edom. Then they will know that I am the Lord. Okay, so again, there's a new heaven and a new earth made in the spiritual realm. It has to do with the way that God relates to people and where they dwell and why. And so when those who are taken to the new heaven and the new earth, Isaiah 66, right, Revelation, the people who are in the worldly realm will be desolate forever, and they'll be marshaled to a place in hell. It's kind of like a dark earth in hell where they will be desolate forever. You know, or another way to look at it is they're marshaled to the source of their desolate kind of land as they worship pagan deities, right? The kind of essence of it, to suffer in that forever in eternal disgrace and pain and punishment.